Greetings and welcome back to Switch to Linux. We have another supporters stream today. And, I was wondering if Selby was going to jump on or not. How's it going? All right. So we have a fun topic today. I don't know anything about the person who wrote the article. There was some discussion in the Matrix chat that, not this person's a wokey. I don't care if they're woke or not. There are no politics in the article. I know, right? It's the same thing with EOS, or elementary OS. I'm just like, I don't care what the politics of the people who run it are. It's just when you start crossing that line with the actual channel's Twitter. Like, I can have my own personal Twitter account and put all the weird, crazy nonsense on there, but the Switch to Linux account, it's for Switch to Linux. The only funny memes we get are like computer stuff and then, things like that. So that's the thing. Of course, if you're not following over there, that's the case. And yes, Selbu was muted. Thank you for that. Haha, we caught it only on 1 minute in. Thank you. For Classy Rock and Hunter Thompson, greetings. Thank you for reminding me to unmute the guests. Hi, Selbu. How are you doing again?
I'm doing fine. And my comment was that because woke people are incapable of having sane thoughts, right?
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely. Ivan, how's it going your way?
Going pretty good. We're getting ready to open our pool this weekend.
Ooh, that sounds
Yay.
Fun.
Yeah.
And Dan, how you doing your way?
I'm doing pretty good.
All right.
One thing that surprised me, sorry I cut you off, Dan, but one thing that surprised me when I got up this morning, it's a clear sky and it's summer, and about 10 or 11 a.m. My car had a centimeter of snow on it. So.
Yeah, there you go. Huh?
Well, it was really cold here last night, too. I mean, it got down to something like 35, 36 in that area.
Yeah,
it was something like that here, too.
I had to get up and turn the furnace on because my knees were knocking.
Absolutely. Yep. Just your first reminder, we're going to remind a couple times throughout the night. The weekly news roundup tomorrow is at 8 instead of 9, 1 hour earlier than usual. We are going to test out that time slot for a few months. I think it's going to be beneficial for everybody. We'll be on for at least an hour before the WAN show, and it will give me an extra hour to get stuff done so I can have a couple hours to relax on Friday night. Stuff like that. The other thing is the Christian channel is resuming streaming tonight. So live streaming on the Christian channel tonight. We've had enough numbers coming on to the premiere shows. So I'm like, okay, this is worth it. I'm not cross streaming it everywhere yet. I don't want to think about the complications of that right this second. If it makes sense to do so in the future, I will. But that's what I'm going to do. But for now, we're streaming that onto the Tubies, and of course it'll roll out to the other platforms when we're done, assuming it's not too spicy. Maybe I should record it just to be sure, because tonight we're talking about the judgment of America, and it'll be a good one. It'll be a spicy one. It'll be a really spicy one, so I should definitely record it. So I'll have a link for that later on tonight. That'll be at 9 Eastern time tonight. Somebody said, what time zone, Darren Cleft? For the weekly news round tomorrow is 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So whatever, you can adjust your time zone to that. Let's go ahead and have a look at our comments before we start here. This should be an interesting video. Indeed. And of course, every time you read that title screen below us, you have to hum it to that song. Because Grandma got locked out of Google. All right. So I've had to recover Google accounts for family more than a few times over the years. Recovering Google accounts can be not fun. So I made recovery email one of mine for like my mother. Yes. Grandma should count her blessings. Yes. I'm locked out of Google. Yes. Moonbase Elf Grays. Greetings. Don't take me to your leader. Jabba the Cat. That's right. KO2610, your number has been called. Hello. Hello, folks. An unrelated note. Looks like Target has lost almost $10 billion in the last week. Yeah, I think the number was like 9.2 billion or something is what I just saw earlier. It's actually it's encouraging to see some people standing up. And I'm actually going to be covering. That's kind of where I'm going to be covering a lot of those things and why that's happening on the Christian show tonight. So we're going to tie in a lot of the cultural things. We're going to tie in the Bible verses and stuff like that. Let's see. Butt Light is still losing as well. They can't give it away. I actually saw somebody at the store buying some the other day, and I commented on the cashier. She's like, "Oh, it's the first time I've seen someone buy one in a while." Guy must have been a normie. He was not paying attention. I still go to Target. I don't care what business politics are as long as the services and prices are worthwhile. Okay. I haven't been within 10 feet of a Target since 2000. Yeah. Let's see. My dollars don't go to such companies. Politics dictated where I shopped. I wouldn't be able to shop. That's true. Like, and I think that there's balances we can do and stuff like that. So absolutely. Not religious. Tom's Christian channel has been great. Thank you very much for coming along. Yeah, and I try and keep it interesting. Like, I don't get as much. I could probably blow up the channel if I did more of the gossip, but I want to open up the scriptures and see what they have to say, because that's what it's not about, the gossip of the going on in the world. It's about what's in there. Cousin called it weasel pee. Yeah.
Yeah, because you are one of those old-fashioned guys who want to do the right thing and not only what's keeping people inside.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to get all of the nonsense and stuff as much. If it crosses over, I'm good with that.
I remember Elon Musk said within the last week in an interview about someone asked him about Twitter losing money because of something he said or due to something he tweets, and he says that if he is losing money because he is saying something he believes in, that then so be it.
Yeah, and that's. And I can understand that perspective. And I made that. I hope I made that clear in the elementary video yesterday. You know, it's I don't care. I'm not going to leave elementary necessarily because they've done that. I've just never joined it because it's on a technical level, it's a horrible distro. Over on Odyssey, we're over on Odyssey. This guy, 14, currently watching. Minier Arts says Proton Mail. Think about ordering Proton VPN. Does someone have it? Is it good? I hear it is pretty good. It's not one I particularly have. I actually have my own personal VPN because for me, it's not about protecting my IP address as much as it is about being secure on places where you're using live internet. All right, 4 watching on Rumble and no comments. I'm not sure if I believe Rumble right now. Let me refresh.
Rumble's kind of tricky with comments. You may have to refresh the Rumble browser to see them.
I just refreshed. I'm not seeing any comments over there on Rumble.
Yeah, so, I'm not seeing any either.
Which is kind of funny because that one has been taking off a lot more lately. But we'll give it a little bit of time. Maybe some folks.
On Friday nights when I'm sitting on Rumble, the comments are few and very slow coming. Not many people talk on Rumble, but they're watching.
Yeah. And there's actually only 4 on Rumble right now, which is an extraordinarily low number. Makes me wonder, did Ron DeSantis announce something on Rumble this time? I don't know.
Yeah, and as usual, there's one person on Twitch.
Yeah. Talk about like throwing your entire career in the toilet. I'm going to run for president of the Republican Party. Like, dude, it's not your time. Okay, it's not your time. Stay in Florida, my friend. Target 2028. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we've covered our fun introductory stuff. Let's go ahead and get into our article. Anybody who have any comments before we get into the article related to our basic topic?
First of all, people that use Google for email, I experienced the same thing. I have a Google account too for email, but I use it now for junk mail. It's a free service. Mm-hmm. They're not charging you nothing for it. They're not billing you nothing for it. If it goes away, it's Google's choice. You have no contract with them to keep your email account in place. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're grandma and you're not a business.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I think the bigger problem is that a lot of the grandmas, as it were, well, let's use grandma as a general term, meaning a non-tech normie, for the purposes of our discussion, they're not thinking about these things. It's like they can't think beyond, this is my device and all of my stuff is locked behind this. And of course, as they're pushing everybody to use like two-factor authentication, well, what happens when your phone takes a swim with the Taco Bell water?
Yeah,
how you get back in your account?
Which is kind of similar to what happens to this particular grandma. Her device simply stopped working.
Yep. Yeah, correct. And, you know, it's one thing to have an accidental effect, but that's another thing altogether to have something else. All right, so diving... Yep, go ahead.
In the article, the way I read it is her device quit working and the password was like locked into her browser for her Google account, like with a token cookie or something like that. So every time she went to go to Google, she didn't have to put in a password to get her email. Now that device is broken, that token cookie is gone. She's forgotten her password. Now she can't get back in.
Correct. And that's really the crux of it is people putting it in there, keeping it logged in, and then never re-accessing it. So let's go ahead and go through the article. It's not super long, pretty short. And I know nothing about this person, Lauren Weinstein. I don't know, related to Harvey. Yikes. But I know nothing about this person. People are major saying, oh, this is a woke person. I don't care. Okay. The information was good. It wasn't pushing some weird ideology. I didn't even really want to focus explicitly on the article. I just want to raise it as a point to say, this is a scenario a lot of people find themselves in. What can we, as the more tech people in those people's lives, do to help? And that's really what we want to focus on. So let's go ahead and jump in here. All I am doing something in this post I've never done before is over these many years. I'm going to share with you an example of what Google account recovery failure means to the people involved. And this is by no means the worst such case I've seen, not even close, unfortunately. I cannot imagine if your job is to help people with Google account recoveries. That's like, I think being a telemarketer might actually be better. I mentioned yesterday in my other venues how for many years I've routinely tried informally to help people with Google account recovery issues because the process can be so difficult for many people to navigate and frequently fails. Announcement yesterday of Google's inactive account deletion policy. I blogged about it then. Of course, we covered this briefly on the Weekly News Roundup last week, where Google is starting to deactivate old inactive accounts. So if you haven't logged into it for 2 years, they'll get rid of it. Of course, after a little bit of pushback, they're not specifically deleting the YouTube videos. But I said, if the YouTube videos aren't getting any views, maybe it makes sense to, but we'll see.
Yeah, but there is also a counter argument. Is that there's a lot of YouTube videos that don't have a lot of views, that have a sentimental value to some people who is not owner of the account. So just outright deleting them is wrong, and it's nice of Google to at least take a step up and do another thinking about how they want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I also think that if a video is in completely inactive account and not receiving any views at all, there is not a lot of reason to keep it around. That's what I'm saying. But if an account is gone and the video is still racking up hundreds of thousands of views, there is no reason to delete that video, especially since YouTube can throw ads on it and still make money on it. But if it's one small obscure video or 100 small obscure videos that have only ever gotten 10 views in the account's lifetime and the account owner is not logged in for 10 years and nobody is finding that video and it's not being viewed, I personally don't see a problem with taking that video down. That's my thought. If you sentimentally want it, it's YouTube DL, my friend.
Yeah. And there's also, I think maybe you mentioned this, but some of the accounts that are going to be affected by this are accounts of deceased people who are no longer with us, or
correct,
and who for some reason don't share the password with anyone. I'm one of those. I have a few accounts here and there. And if I die, my accounts die with me. There is no chance that I'm leaving this. But YouTube videos should, So
yeah, I mean, again, as long as the YouTube videos are getting views, they should stay up.
Yeah.
But if they're YouTube videos that are not getting any views at all, and they're going to get deleted because the account is completely deactivated, it's like there are avenues to download the video.
I think a nicer way of handling this, which is probably not the bulk of industries. If YouTube's going to start closing accounts, they should at least actually send the owners of the accounts a message. Hey, you have 10 days to go.
They are
claim
yes,
your video and download
that.
it because we're taking it down, so you don't completely lose it.
Correct. They are doing that. They're not like pushing a button and just everybody's accounts are instantly deleting. A lot of thought has been put into how this is happening, but let's move on because this is not the exact topic of the video today. So this triggered an onslaught of concerns for the time, made my blog inaccessible. Okay. For delayed inbound, outbound processing, whatever. Okay. Got a lot of hits. All right. So I'm going to include below most of the text message I received from today and from one of my readers about a specific Google account recovery failure and how this is affecting a 90-year-old woman. I'll be anonymizing the message text, of course. I received permission from the sender to show you. Unfortunately, this example is all too familiar for me, as it is very much typical of Google account recovery problems that Google users so dependent on Google in their daily lives to bring my attention in hopes that I might be able to help. So, I've been discussing these issues with Google for many years. I've suggested, ombuds people? What is that? I have no idea. Account escalation appeal process that ordinarily people couldn't understand, and many other concepts. They've all basically hit a brick wall of Google suggesting that their scale, nothing can be done about such edge cases. This guy disagrees. In today's regulatory and political environments, these edge cases matter more than ever. And I'll continue to do this. Okay, does anybody know what that word is?
That is a word that is it's used. I'm not kidding. It is used in almost every country around the world, including in the USA. There are people whose job is to be an ombudsman for various. It is a kind of someone who speaks on behalf of a certain class of people,
an advocate,
consumers.
Okay. All right. So here's the beginning of the message. Hi, Lauren. I tried to help a lovely neighbor, the quintessential little old lady, recently with her attempt to recover her legacy Gmail account. We've ultimately given up, and she created a second new account instead. She has been using the original account forever, 15 plus years, and it was created so long ago that she didn't even need to provide any recovery contacts at that time. Or she may have used a landline phone number, and that's long been canceled. For at least the last decade, she was just using the stored password login to check her email. When her ancient iPad finally died, she tried to add a Gmail account to her new replacement iPad. However, she couldn't remember the password in order to log in. Because the old device had changed and she couldn't remember the password, and there was no back channel recovery method for her account. There was no way to log in. I don't know if you've ever attempted to contact a human being at Google Tech Support. It's pretty much impossible. They also don't seem to have an exception mechanism for cases like this, so she had to abandon hopes of viewing Google photos of her now deceased beloved pet, her contacts, her email subscriptions, reminders, calendar entries, etc. Now that really is the crux of what we want to talk about here. But we're going to go ahead and continue. I understand the desire to keep accounts secure and the need to reduce customer support expenses for free services, but it's also frustrating for end users when there's no way to appeal, review, reconsider the automated lockout. She's nearly 90 years old, so I find it remarkable that she's able to use the iPad, but it's difficult to know what to say to someone like this when she asks, "What can we do now?" and there are no options. I recognize there are many different kinds of Google users: journalists, dissidents, whistleblowers, political candidates, human rights, and the need for maximum security in their communications. In these cases, it makes sense to employ multi-factor authentication, end-to-end encryption, one-time passwords, other exceptional privacy and security features. However, there are a great many of average users who find these additional steps difficult, frustrating, especially in the case of elderly people who aren't necessarily very tech-savvy, sometimes bewildering. It's tough to explain to your treasured photos can't be retrieved because you're not the sort of user that Google had in mind. Not everybody is a millennial digital native who finds all this obvious. That is a fascinating statement there at the end, which is true. And I am deeply frustrated. This is why I am working as hard as I can to get out of basic client-side web design, because I am so sick of saying people, we need access to the server stuff, and they're sending me a username and password. Like, I still can't get in. Okay, we need to coordinate a time to get in. And in the one case recently, we had to get logged into an account, and I get to log in the account, and they're like, oh, we need to verify an email. I'm like, so I emailed the person back, like, we need to verify the email. Well, I clicked to verify this login. It doesn't matter. You have to click it again when I try to log in again in real time. And this is the thing I have been dealing with so much lately that is so frustrating. So for some of my clients right now, if I'm using their stuff on a regular basis, if they want me to manage anything in their Google account, they have to allow me to use my YubiKey for a 2FA, because I cannot be trying to get a hold of them to figure out a 2FA code and stuff like that, which is working, but most companies still are not supporting them, despite it's the one technology everybody should be supporting. So any commentary on the rest of that before we get into the meat of what I want to talk about here today?
So my mother is one of those who are not so tech savvy. She has she and her husband they use Apple products on everything. They have iPhones and they have MacBooks, and he has an iMac or a Macintosh on his desk, and he has control over all the computers, and he has shared with me via some private means in the event that if he turned 70 last year. So in the event that he finally says goodbye, I have some way to continue and handle the accounts and so forth. Clearly, she didn't do that in this case, and but why would she? Because she had no idea of knowing that keeping those passwords on a secondary device or in a printout or something being of importance. And which is one of the reasons why every browser on my systems is configured to I don't even get the option to save a password anywhere, because I want to. I really do want to remember passwords, and password to stuff that is really important. I write them down in a file that I encrypt, so I have to decrypt it each time when I need to check what was that and so on. And having someone on Firefox, and I think also Apple product, you have the option to sync some of this to your iCloud or to your Google something. But that requires that you remember the iCloud password or the Google password, which she didn't. Because I'm fairly certain that if she did remember her Google password, all her password will be synced up to the new pad, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Salbu, the Cyber Andy's asking you if you have a YouTube channel in the comments.
No.
Okay. Yeah,
I have I am on. I have I have a web page and an email.
Web page and email if you want to reach out.
And I'm also on IRC. I am Solbu on many IRC networks.
Solbu on IRC. Yep. Okay. So anybody else want to jump in with anything there?
I think I think that, like, for older folks, that it's really unfortunate it's like, they don't understand, or they may not understand, not so much the complexity of these systems, but the wide variety of what's available for use and stuff like that. And then they get so involved on, okay, well, these folks, they do this, and this. And so they use all of that, and then the day comes that they unfortunately can't get back in, and they're like, okay, now what do I do? And for some of these outfits, unless they've already known to not so much make logins redundant in some way, or having what their credentials saved in some way, shape, or form securely, then they're just like, so what do I do, with the full expectation that they can get it back? Whereas if the organization is too big, that's an option that may not be viable or available for that matter, and it's crushing. It's like you really feel bad for these folks, but then at the same time, it's like, other folks would be like, well, you should have, and some of these folks would be like, look how old I am. I don't know about this stuff. And I think that there was a day way back when things were separate and you could have one and not another if something happened. But when everything gets tucked underneath an umbrella, it's all covered in one fall swoop. And they end up becoming not so much a victim of circumstance, but a victim of their own. I can't think of the word, but it's just kind of like, it's really unfortunate when they find themselves in that predicament, and it's just from there it just gets more complex on how to prevent issues down the road.
Yeah.
Well, in this case with this person right here, it was a simple not having the password available to get into the account, because it was stored on one device and forgotten about, where if she made a written copy of a password and put it in a safety deposit box or a strong box or a safe, any place that's not
or
out
a little
in the
black
open.
notebook on her bedstand.
Yeah, in her Bible, piece of paper in her Bible. It would have allowed her to get back in. That seems to be the situation with this particular thing. And people don't realize, they get to the point where they're using Google or something like that. And like, I'm always logged into Google. I rarely have to re-log into it because I use YouTube a lot. And but I do have the password and the credentials and all that. For the email, I use Thunderbird. I want to have all my email on hand on my machine. That way, if Google says you can't have free email anymore, I still have all the emails that I've gotten over the time and have sorted through them and archived the ones.
We're going to get to that specific point here in a bit in more detail. So if you want to hold your thoughts on that particular point until later when we cover that, we'll look at that.
Absolutely.
So as far as what can we do to help Grandma? The best thing, of course, is obviously, like the person said here in the article, if you're the tech-savvy person in the family, create a secondary throwaway email address and make sure that all of your non-tech-savvy people are using your email address as an emergency contact. Of course, assuming your family's not crazy. I personally wouldn't do that because my family's crazy. But that is certainly the best good option you do. So, and then make sure people have their passwords somewhere, either written down in a safety deposit box or in a password manager. These are those first basic things that we need to make sure we have. Just covering these basics. And just like you might need to sit down with your grandparents and be like, look, if somebody calls saying I've been kidnapped, we need to establish safe words. Okay. We need to do the same thing with having the conversation with them about what accounts are you using, where are the passwords, and how can we get in if we lose those? These are all important things to keep in mind.
Yeah, just imagine all the people, that have passed away that still have accounts that are running out there because their family doesn't know about all the accounts they got. Like if they have an Amazon account and it's attached to a credit card and it's sitting out there open to buy, and somebody gets into it and starts charging up a storm,
or they're on Amazon Prime and continuously rebilling Amazon Prime every month, or some other, they're getting their subscription order macaroni and cheese that
Netflix
won't stop.
and all the other stuff.
So
Yeah.
It keeps billing the
yeah.
card till the card gets shut off or the date on it expires.
Yeah, I had that happen to a friend of mine who died on the 17th of May, I think it was last year. But we didn't know that we didn't even know that he was sick because it turned out he died of a disease. But so we saw his IRC client joining and dropping out every now and again, which it normally did. And in August or September, I think it was September, his client left for the last time. And then after a month or two, we started talking amongst ourselves that maybe we should make contact with him because something might be up. And we contacted someone who didn't respond. And then I saw the name of someone on his friends list on Facebook that shared his last name, and it turned out to be his brother. So we learned that this year, so we learned almost over a year later that he had passed away, but his and we only started to dig around because his domain also expired a few months after his IRC client left. So there is always when someone passes away, a lot of things just stop financially wise. And which doesn't take effect in this case almost a year later.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things. All right, but that's your first bet. Of course, here's your next bet. And this is for the more tech savvy. If possible, if we're talking about storing your photos, your contacts, calendars, things like that, use Nextcloud if possible. It's not always possible. I get it's difficult to get set up. It's a more technical program. It's not without its bugs, but if you really want that good privacy, that's really what you should do. We're not going to comment on that much more than that because really that's the best overall solution, but it's not something that like somebody in your family has to know how to set it up and manage it. Although you could very easily, like I know families that are very close knit together, they could very easily have a family Nextcloud server and everybody has access to that server. That is certainly a possibility. And then everybody's contacts are in that one location. Everyone can easily share things in that one location. It really becomes your own good private cloud. And they're not horribly priced for your own personal usage. I have mine on a cPanel and it works fine, although I don't have the Google Docs component active these days, but I almost never used it. All right, but let's say grandma has to stay, or it's just absolutely the most convenient for grandma to stay on Google. Okay, we're going to deal with it, but sure. Now what we're going to do is we're going to spend the rest of this video here talking about how you can make sure grandma's safe. So suppose grandma has done all the things we're going to talk about. If she loses that old account, it doesn't matter. Let's just create a new one. Just have no stress. How'd you like to have no stress with your Google account? That's what we're going to talk about. So the first thing is you have to take stock of everything inside of your account. Okay, is your calendar really super important? For grandma, most likely no. For your typical person who's not a super tech savvy, I doubt that they're utilizing the Google Calendar super often. But there is a software package here on Linux that can manage your calendar just as well, and that is, of course, is Evolution. I looked at the GNOME calendar, but the GNOME calendar really can't easily store. It's more like an IMAP client. It more or less just interfaces with a CalDAV system rather than actually having stuff on. But Evolution, the calendar program and contact program in Evolution, is amazing. It is very good. It works with all your CalDAVs. It also has its own personal one. So you can utilize that for your contacts and make sure you sync those up. Your contacts, this is the important one, I think, because for a lot of people, if you lose your contact list, that's problematic. Again, Evolution manages your contacts very well. What I will do is on a regular basis is I will download, and you can download most devices. I think Apple's a little bit harder, but on any Android device, you can download the card file of all of your contacts. And I use the Linux application K-Address Book, and there's a number of them. GNOME Contacts, K-Address Book. There's another one. Is it Contact, spelled with a K, also for KDE. I use K-Address Book because it does the best overall job of managing my contacts. So I have an offline database that if worst case scenario, I just have to manually input contacts back in. Although that can export that card file that I can re-upload to Google or whoever else, and it will just resync my contacts. So if you were to be doing that simple backup, which on an Android phone is just going into your contacts and exporting your contacts as a card file, you can just manage your contacts on your offline computer, and then just any backup solution takes care of that. So applications for storing your contacts: Evolution, K-Address Mail, GNOME Contacts, Contact. Any other things about contacts and calendars?
That.
What's that?
I still use paper for all that stuff.
And that's a good thing too. Make sure grandma has an address book.
Yeah, a friend of mine also does this. She has, whenever she she every now and again she would go through a piece of paper that she has and add new contacts that she has added in the last since the last time. Or sometimes she would just take a new piece of paper and write everything down again manually. And for contacts, this is our only backup strategy, which works quite well because it can't be corrupted by disk crashes or whatnot.
Yeah. Joseph asks, how well does Evolution sync contacts with Microsoft account? I don't know about Microsoft account explicitly because I haven't not done that, but it works with any CalDAV like perfectly. And I'm guessing Microsoft is using some variation of CalDAV.
Yeah, I remember reading a few articles a couple of years back that Evolution is one of the best the email clients that is most compatible with Microsoft.
And there is actually a special plugin pack for Evolution to sync up all the rest of it. And I do also know if you're using a modern desktop like GNOME or Cinnamon or any other Budgie, any of those where you have the online accounts, when you sign into your Microsoft account on those modern desktops like Cinnamon, you will have the option when you do that to sync contacts, calendars, files, and things like that. And if you sync those in, it's automatically going to make the connection between Evolution contacts and their contact lists in your online system. That's one of the advantages of using GNOME, Cinnamon, Budgie, and those other ones. I think KDE is now supporting it better. It was supporting it a little bit in the past, although not ideally. So yes, those will work. Any other commentary on contacts calendars?
Yeah, so this is one of the advantages of the modern Apple services and Android services, online everything, is that they are really good at keeping your local contacts and your local images and photos and your local data synced to the cloud, and if you have another device, it will automatically show up on that other device. Or if you buy a new device and sign in, things will show up. It's one of the advantages of using these new online tools, even if they are spying on you. And for older people, for most of them, being spied on by some computer is not something that they are really concerned about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe they should be concerned about it, but to them it's more important to have a backup of the things rather where the backup is stored. That is a secondary issue. It's not important to them in any way.
Yep. All right, so let's move on to the next thing. Your photos. The photos are important here. I mean, you have to have your picture of Fido when Fido goes to the great doghouse in the sky. And so really managing your photos is extraordinarily easy, particularly on Linux systems. Yeah. We're used to having it on the phone and then syncing it with your cloud. Then, of course, if you lose your information, then you pretty much lost out on all of that. But think about this. Nearly all of your devices, if you simply plug it in, the computers go like, hey, we detected photos. You want to download them?
Yeah.
Okay, just teach your family members who are not tech savvy once a month. Take your device, plug it into your computer, and sync up your photos.
Yeah.
Because then a copy of your photos is on your computer as well. Now, make sure you're not doing with the Microsoft, just store it all in the OneDrive account, because if you lose that, you'll lose that too. Make sure there's a physical copy on your computers. Now, on Linux specifically, Pix, Digicam specifically, they will, if you plug in any device, they're going to be like, hey, we've detected photos. Want to import them? And then it'll import them into Photos, have libraries, and then you can add tags. You do all sorts of sorting. I did a specific video on Digicam. I did not specifically do one on Pix, although they function basically the same way. Or I usually just plug it in and open up the device on the computer and just drop the photos over. That way I never have to worry about losing the photos on the device. Of course, I use a phone to go around and take pictures of all the places I go. And if I happen to drop this guy down a volcano, because I've climbed volcanoes before, I'd rather not lose all of my pictures. Maybe just the ones I've taken of the volcano that day. I mean, that'd be tragic enough.
Yeah.
But
someone did that a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a video of it was someone has bought a new drone, and they were going. I think it was in Hawaii somewhere, where they have this lava flow that constantly flowed. So he flew his new drone over, and it was streaming to a local device.
Yep.
And something happened. I think the heat affected the ability of the drone to keep flying, and it landed in the lava flow, and it
Oh no.
yeah, so it
Oh,
broadcasted for a few minutes until it lost signal. It was a awesome video.
It's like Terminator 2.
Yeah,
First
so
person
even
view.
the drone operators said that this was the most expensive, awesome drone photo he ever recorded.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, just teach them once a month. Make sure it's on your calendar once a month. Plug your device in, download your photos to your computer, and then obviously teach them about good backup strategies. That applies to all these. Anything else on photos, videos?
Photos, like for myself, is like, it's like I don't want to risk those. Being in someone else's hands. And I take them all and I keep them on local storage here that's attached to my computer. And then, should I want to put them out someplace, I'll put a copy out there if I so wish. I happen to use PixelFed, so occasionally I'll take some pictures that I'll post something on that out there. It's like Instagram, but better.
Yeah.
And even then, it's like I don't have picnic pictures or anything like that. It'd be like I have something specific I take a picture for, and I post that, and then I keep it on my storage drive, and there's that, and I'll throw a copy of that out on the PixelFed. And it's just like I want all of my photos here with me. And if I want anything else out there, then if I want to back them up online in some cloud thing or whatever like that, then so be it. But I generally don't have to, because I just don't have a need for it.
Yeah. Turtle says sync thing. I believe that is another syncing tool for phones and stuff. All right, so your last one is email. This is an interesting one. Of course, if you can host your email, again, it's the tech solution. But if you can't, there are applications out there that can archive your email for you, like Dan does with Thunderbird, which, of course, you can make a backup of the Thunderbird file, and you can re-import that into any other Thunderbird installation, and that way you never lose a copy of it. There is another application out there, a couple more I've wanted to have a look at, and I just haven't had a chance to. One of those is the Ava Email Archiver, which is available as a Flatpak, so any Linux distribution supporting Flatpak. From reading the information I've read about it, it basically is going to take your account, log in on IMAP, and just take a physical copy. So basically, it's treating an IMAP like an old POP3, just not deleting the messages. I have not experimented with this yet. I'm going to start working with it a little bit because what I want to do is I want to clear off a lot of my email servers from some old clients and things, and I just want to have a good solution to be able to get into those, read those emails later, but get them off of my main server and computers right now. Into my backup strategies. So stay tuned for videos on that in the future, but there are dozens of ways that you can make a copy of your email. Even if you're using Gmail, you can use POP3 on Gmail, even having it completely keep your online Gmail account empty and just having all your emails on your local computer. I like that approach better because it reduces the chance of Google snooping through my messages for something
that's
fun.
the way I do it.
But these are all ways that we have it. So making sure that you are having a good backup strategy, all of these functions you count, because if this grandma, she had her contacts, she had her photos, she had her emails. Yeah, you don't remember the password for that one. Just create a new one. Who cares? Because there's nothing in there. And so that really is the best overall bet there. What's that software called? That's Ava Email Archiver. It's been on my list to look at for a while, and I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. And just in preparation for this, I looked it up, and it is available as a flat pack. So that's
the advantages of having your email and getting it directly from Google or wherever and having it in your possession is you have hard copies of things that could be receipts or things you ordered that you may want to order again. You know, like in Thunderbird, you have an archive folder. You can archive your stuff. And let's say like with Thunderbird, I have like 4 email accounts connected to one client. And if you're like me and you save your old emails and you sort them out, if you lose your Gmail account, you have a rough idea how many things are getting sent to that Gmail account, and you can open a different account some other way and go to them places and give them a new email address to send your stuff to. You have a physical copy, you know, in your computer of that person that was sending that email to that address, so you can contact them or company and tell them, hey, change this.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because after you lost your email that was on the Google server, you have really no record of who is sending you what through that address.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Any other comment? Those are the tips in my notes here. Anything else we want to add?
One thing for those who want to don't trust the big storage the cloud providers like Android and iCloud and so on, but do not want to host their own, or because there are some people who want to host their own, but they are not able to because of slow internet, or because they want to provide for people other than themselves and so on. The people behind Nextcloud, they have a service. I think you can pay a few dollars a month or a few dollars a year. I don't remember. Where you can have them host an instance for you, or you get an account on their instance. So there is options if you want to go the more. If you want someone else to host it, but you don't trust the big players. Or ask around if there is someone in your circles among those who you know if they run an Nextcloud instance, and if you could get an account on their instance and so on. There are options for doing this. Also for those who do not want to host their own.
Let's see. Okay, so I put the link to the flat pack for Ava Email Archiver in there. Again, I have not played with that program. It could become a complete bust. It's just one, it's been on my list to look at, and I remembered it being there, so I thought that'd be a good one to throw up there. So let's go ahead and have a look at our comments. I've been reading through most of the Tubi comments as we've been going, so I don't know if there's anything huge in here to do. Just another reminder while we're getting ready for our comments here. Weekly News Roundup tomorrow is at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time instead of 9, 1 hour earlier than it has been for all eternity. But we're going to run it early and see how that works. And also, our Christian stream is going tonight at 9 Eastern Standard Time on Our Walk in Christ. I'll put the link up to that right before we close out. But if you're interested or curious about the Christian-related stuff, I will be streaming on that channel tonight. You should try never to forget your main email password,
Yeah, and this is this is the main reason that I don't have my browser remember all my passwords. And the reason that I don't use a password manager is because I want to remember my password myself. And one of the things that helps you, in addition to remember your password, you also remember the accounts that you log into every now and again.
That's an awful lot of remembering on my part. I got to have a running list of all the accounts I got.
Yeah.
I can barely remember my phone number.
Yeah, but this is one of the points that I wanted to mention earlier. Is that this problem would also happen? Would also be the case if she had a password manager on her device because her device died, and then even if she could remember the password to her password manager, then she would be even more screwed because there's no way that she could recover the password.
And this is why I like KeePassXC, and I remind people take a copy of that database as well in your backups.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the reality is though is that most people are just really bad at backing stuff up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there are instances where doing a backup is not an option. My friend with the biggest file server, he has a 110 terabyte RAID storage in a server, and in order to do backup of that, he has to acquire another server with at least that amount of disk space. And no, he's not financially able to do that because he would need to have a system with 18 drives and so on. So, there are with the amount. It depends on how important it is to back up the stuff that you have. So.
WaterFox is Firefox based. No, WaterFox is based Firefox. WaterFox is compromised. Don't use it. WaterFox is completely owned by System 1, which is a data harvesting and analytics company. WaterFox is compromised. Do not use it. Use LibreWolf instead.
So
and that is different, by the way, than StartPage is not owned by System 1. It's that System 1 has made an investment in StartPage, but they don't have any say in the day-to-day operations or any access to anything that StartPage does. It's just the investment for StartPage is just to push ads and use them as their ad investor system.
So what you're saying
WaterFox is fully owned by System 1. It is compromised.
So what you're saying is WaterFox is leaking.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, WaterFox is leaked.
About the same time WaterFox got compromised, they came out with LibreWolf.
Yep. You have LibreWolf, and I've been playing around with Mulved browser a little bit as well, which is also decent. Dakota Rustler tried Nextcloud and not impressed. I'm not impressed with the latest version. I hate the bubbly look they're trying to go with. Open Media Vault kind of took a similar bubbly look to it as well. I love version 5, what I'm using. I just installed version 6 for a friend the other night, setting up. I mean, it's functional, but I do not like it as much. And it gives you like you have to click OKs 700 times for everything you're doing. It's like you click OK, you click the change. That's always been there. And then you have to click the apply button. That's always been there. But now every single time you click an apply button and some other settings button, you get a pop-up. Then you have to click another checkbox and hit OK. It's like Open Media Vault. You're driving me crazy here. I am actually going to start looking at alternatives next time I need to rebuild my NAS, because it is that frustrating.
One comment on the elementary video that you did a few days ago. One of the issues was the lack of available packages. So I googled elementary just to see what showed up, and there was a forum posting or some using thingy. Where one of them said that all you had to do was go to the FlatHub and click on and do an install via the web browser. Where you click the install, and it gives you the link to the package to install, and which you paste in the terminal. And once you do that, all the other packages of a FlatHub automatically shows up in your package manager.
Yeah, correct. That was an issue we had initially, I think, on Elementary 7, on my Elementary 7 video. That was clarified later on. Actually, I think it was a bug fix that they did after I did the review. And so, yeah, that gets more things in there. But the problem is if you don't want to run Flatpaks, because some people don't want to run containerized applications. Yeah. If you don't want to run them, you have to contend with a warning. This app may not be secure for like GIMP and LibreOffice, which is absolute utter nonsense.
Yeah, the downside.
I think the same one also. It may be a YouTube video that some of them link to, but they also show that you could install the old-fashioned way using the terminal, which do not have these warnings, and the entire package 3 that is configured will do everything. And I think either Debian or the Ubuntu repos are configured, and there's no warning, and everything is available. So. That's another way.
But they also downplay the terminal and try and push everything through their GUI application, so it's not the way it's designed to work.
Yeah.
Which is why Elementary OS just sucks. It just set itself in a coffin and shipped itself up to Canada for made. I think that's what Elementary just did.
Yeah.
All right, just flipping through comments, seeing if there's anything in here that I need to address in the comments.
One thing that's aggravating about Flatpaks, and I can see why people don't like them, is once you install a Flatpak app, it wants to install GNOME free desk this and KDE free desk that, and your NVIDIA driver and a whole bunch of other junk just for one app. And then it constantly update. The updates for Flatpaks are more frequent than they are for Debian.
Yep.
There's a comment.
That is a problem. The other problem with Flatpaks is managing the permissions of things is a royal pain. And because the documentation is not particularly clear, and a lot of the Flatpaks out of the box, they won't allow me to go to my home folder to import a file. Now, there is an application, I should probably do a video on it. I installed it. It's a Flatpak itself, but it is a Flatpak manager, and it will allow you to do a lot of the customizations and manage the properties with a GUI. It's a really nice tool.
Are you talking about Flat Seal?
I believe that's the one, yeah.
Yeah, that's a must for Flatpaks.
I think I need to do a video on that, because when I installed Anki on my main media PC to test out the desktop version of it, I did that through the Flatpak, and if I could not import my file, my backup from the other systems. It could not find any files, and so I ended up just installing Flat Seal to play around with that. All right, we have 8 watching over on Rumble, and Obidsman is an advocate for a person. That is, thank you very much.
Or
Raven Wing 84, good day, and he likes LibreWolf. Many fantastic distros at Elementary OS will not be missed. I agree. And we have, how many over on Odyssey? We have 23 currently watching on Odyssey. Woo, it looks like Odyssey is taking care of our view count today. Odyssey is YouTube plus Rumble, live stream wise. Hello, the douchebag. Greetings. See Moonbase over there, and 0.1 Libra coin. Thank you for that. Hate the YouTubers that treat Odyssey as their video backup drive. I think many of them never log in after they set up the auto download. I can say that I actually do upload some exclusive content to my alt tech platforms. Those particularly being the band news get a special update. I'm done upgrading, reinstalling Windows. For relatives, none of them can remember their passwords and accounts and then blame me for messing up their computer after I've asked them 50 times. Plus, they want to run 20-year-old programs from Windows 98 XP. I dropped my laptop. Why can't you fix my hard drive? I'm with you there. I am with you there. Last time my mother wanted help on her computer, it's like, how do I delete email again? You highlight and push the button that says delete. Okay, this is not hard.
That's the advantage of using Linux, is you can play the card. I don't know how to use any of that other stuff. I run Linux.
And I'm getting that way. I'm losing my Windows knowledge, I can say. And I can say I don't care.
I remember a woman on IRC commented 20 years ago that when she was in the ninth grade, she was sent to the headmaster for deleting the internet.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
Am I on Locals, Joseph Norris? Yes. switchedtolinux.locals.com. switchedtolinux.locals.com. Or if you're on Rumble, just click the Join Now button on Rumble. And Muon over on Odyssey says, I don't get why nobody is worried about privacy. I know! That's why I don't
That
like.
I
get people like,
nobody
Google stuff.
really
I don't
cares.
use Google either. This is my YouTube account. My Nextcloud backs up my phone photos automatically. Yeah, I actually don't do that. I have a more limited data space on mine, and because I don't want any of that stuff in the cloud. The only thing I want in the cloud are things that have to be there, and so I always prefer to back up stuff.
It's not a good idea to keep your head in the clouds.
Exactly.
No jabbies ever said my thoughts exactly, Dan. I don't know what you said 3 minutes ago, though. So
It's not a good idea to have your head in the clouds.
no, that was you just said that. This is like 3 or 4 minutes ago. I don't know. Tried Flatpak version of Brave today, and the dang thing couldn't update for who knows why. Yeah, I don't know. What do you mean? Like, if you do a Flatpak update in the terminal, that'll update all your Flatpaks. People need to stop bending over backwards, find excuses to use screwed up services and products. Yeah, I know. I'm here. I'm with you. Yeah, it's like I take this stuff seriously. Like, and this is why I'm not a huge fan of the channels that are like, here's a new privacy service. I don't want a privacy service, as it were. It looks like my battery just died from overhead.
If your privacy needs to be serviced, you have no privacy.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, I can manage that on my own. Thank you. I'm sitting here in the dark now. Sorry, my overhead.
Yeah, the problem with many of the older generations is that they really don't have any grasp on the privacy implications of using the internet.
Yeah.
Because some of them believe that when you turn your phone off, then everything is all right.
Yeah, that's the thing, and it's just like,
it's not because they are stupid. It's just they haven't been taught how to do these things, and
it's not their generation,
right?
Yeah.
No, I'm
kind of stuck in the middle generation.
Well, I mean, we can all learn, though. I mean, we can't just sit back and say, oh, it's just not my generation. That's more of a cop-out than anything else. It might be not come as naturally. Yeah, it might be something you take more and push to do it. But you got to get to the point where it hurts to use it because of whatever purpose. And that's really the point we need to get to.
Yeah, but it's not that they are copying after. It's the way they were raised and the way that the society worked for hundreds of years until the internet came around, and which changed much of privacy things upside down. And if you're old enough, then you don't really care about the computers and stuff, and that everyone else should worry about that. And yeah,
so Raven Wing's heading back to work. I'm going to say bye to Raven Wing, heading off to work. All right, go ahead.
So it's just that it's a two-way way of thinking about how the world works, and unfortunately, they don't know how. Many of them, some of them, don't know how the internet works and what the implications are if they do use it.
I've
And
noticed.
I think that it's okay for them to not have any grasp of it because they don't understand it, and why should they?
I notice most of the older people around here are totally sucked into social media the same way the kids are.
Yeah.
You know, you have
Oh,
the
yeah.
kids that are stuck in it, then you have the adults that have to go work and make the money and stuff like that, so they ain't got time for it and they don't care. You got the old people that are retired and just looking for someone to talk to.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's about it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
like- And like, my father, he was silent, yeah, we're talking Great Depression. So I don't know if that's Silent Generation or Greatest. I think it was Silent Generation. But he was always into tech, little gadgets and stuff like that. So whenever he needed help or something like that, I was more than happy to help him out. And he was really into it.
Yeah. There's a comment a few minutes ago by Dakota Rustler who said that I hate the constant change in tech. Paper has stayed the same for millennia.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. I agree with
Well,
him.
a paper has actually not stayed exactly the same for millennia. I have to push back ever so slightly because, the paper we have now lasts a little bit longer than the paper from a long time ago.
Yeah, but it has been the same since it was invented. You print something on it and it stays the same.
There we go.
And the quality has been better over the years, but how it operates is,
Well,
I looked at a
love
ream of paper in the store the other day. Oh my God, man. $12 for a ream of cheap paper.
Yeah.
Do employers still ask for your media accounts and interviews? I don't know. I had a real job and I can't remember the last time. I think the last job I interviewed for was in 2008.
Oi.
In my country, they are not allowed to ask these questions.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
okay.
invasion of privacy right there.
Yep. All right, we're going to wrap this one up here for now. So thanks for hanging out, everybody. And let me get you guys the link for the Christian channel tonight. That'll be in about just under 1 hour tonight. We'll be streaming on America is Judged by God. So if you want to have a look over there, you can jump on. I'll put that in all of the chats here. Tomorrow, weekly news roundup at 8 p.m., 1 hour earlier than it usually is, as we're testing that as a new time zone. So if you have set calendars or notifications or reminders for the weekly news roundup, I know a few of you have, make sure you change those 8 o'clock until further notice, or unless further notice. We're going to be doing that at 8 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 1 hour earlier. All right. So with that, thank you for watching, everybody, and we will see you all next time.